Hey everyone, it's Erin with Hail Varsity. I'm joined by Greg, also of Hail Varsity. Last week I called him the recruiting extraordinaire. I did not come up with something better, so we're going to keep that for right now. The recruiting, I did say maybe wizard, but we'll go with extraordinaire. Greg, how are you?
I am very well, busy but well. Derek Peterson, I was on the Varsity Club podcast last week, said that he's going to go with recruiting wizard. So you can stick with extraordinaire. He can have wizard. It will just continue to make me feel good. I appreciate you guys.
Perfect. And yeah, if you haven't actually checked out the latest Varsity Club podcast, you can listen to it wherever you get your podcast. Greg also has a podcast, a straight up breakdown podcast. So you might as well just go ahead and add those to your library, whether that's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or our website. They're basically just about anywhere you get your podcasts. So Greg, let's hop into this week's question. And this actually comes from Craig on YouTube. And he asked this question a couple of weeks ago, but it feels especially relevant right now. We have Yant, who just received a scholarship. He was a walk-on, so now Nebraska is at 85 scholarships for the fall as of right now. But Greg's dog agrees there's a lot riding on this question. Craig wants to know, he's curious what the recruiting effect will be resulting from the COVID year. If he understands correctly, seniors coming back for the extra year of eligibility do not count toward the 85 scholarship limit, but there is still a cap on their playing time. With regard to walk-ons, one of the carrots is getting a scholarship, similar to what just happened with Yant. How is that extra year of eligibility going to impact the preferred walk-on program in recruiting? So there's two pieces here. He just wants to understand that the whole extra year of eligibility, but then how it will affect preferred walk-ons, especially for a program like Nebraska, where it matters a lot. What are your thoughts, Greg?
Yeah, I think that, first of all, sorry, my dog is very excited. There's a lot of trickle down effect here with that. So Craig is correct in that this year, the super seniors, who we're a bit affectionately calling them, do not count towards the 85-man scholarship limit. So for this particular year, there isn't a huge trickle-down effect when it comes to the scholarship distribution. You'll still see guys going on scholarship that were previously walk-ons. You mentioned Yant off top. There might be one, maybe two more that end up going on this summer before the season. The issue that will really come in, and this is the big thing that coaches are really going to struggle with, and you're already starting to hear some rumblings about it, is going forward for the next few seasons, kids can still use that extra year of eligibility. But the NCAA decided that go after this year, they will count towards the 85 scholarship limit. So that's going to provide some really awkward situations, because then coaches are going to have to decide, do we want, Johnny offensive lineman to come back and be a super senior on our team? Or do we want to bring in a new high school recruit? Do we want to then give a scholarship to a preferred walk-on? Do we want another junior college player? Do we try to plug a hole that way? And do we, if, in this example, Johnny offensive lineman has been a good player in our program and he hasn't caused any problems, is it ethical for us to encourage him to move on? Those issues are going to continue popping up for the next few years. And I think that it's going to be kind of a problem going forward. And all of that being said, you also have the transfer portal. So you still have to also deal with that too. So Craig's question is very well received, because there are a lot of things that are going to happen as a result of that rule that's moving forward, that the NCAA, I don't think, has given enough leeway, at least as of right now.
And you'll actually notice this when you read just about anything at Hail Varsity or in the football yearbook, which is getting ready to hit newsstands and start shipping within the next couple of weeks. We have to refer to these players as second year sophomore or third year sophomore or whatever, because of this extra year. It definitely is going to make this whole thing very complicated. It's going to, like Greg said, make coaches have to have really uncomfortable, difficult discussions. Maybe some of it they hope works itself out, But there will be players who want to stay, and they're going to say, I want to use this extra year of eligibility, but the team may be looking for someone new. So then you start to wonder, what does the transfer portal start to look like because of this and because of players wanting to use those extra years of eligibility? So, Craig, it's a great question, and one, unfortunately, I don't think there's a really solid answer for yet. But the reality is, it will probably have an effect on everything from recruiting to the walk-on program to the current players. We just don't know yet what it's going to look like, and it's going to probably look different for every program, at least in my perspective. Alabama is going to approach this very differently than Nebraska will, or insert random school here. Like, everybody is going to be approaching it differently based on their needs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I do think that one effect will be like you'll see smaller walk-on classes maybe for a couple of years. Like I just don't think that Nebraska is going to be taking huge amounts. And you've also seen more walk-ons moving on this offseason even, right? You've seen more of those guys transfer too. So it's just going to be another thing to make things even more hectic for everyone involved.
It's just going to be a lot of fun for Greg to have to sort through.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, if you want to know more about this topic in particular, you can check out the recruiting notebook this evening. It goes live Sunday through Thursday, Hail Varsity, 6 p.m. Central. But tonight specifically, more of a deep dive on this particular topic. But go ahead and just bookmark the recruiting notebook. It's sponsored by Pinnacle Bank, which we really appreciate. But Greg gives you the rundown of anything you may have missed that day when it comes to recruiting, because we know that everything changes. And right now, we are in the thick of a very busy June. We've already had one Friday Night Lights camp. There's more camps coming up. Greg is going to be really giving us a recap, insight to all of it. So this is a good time to be a Hail Varsity subscriber as well. Greg, how are you feeling as we're getting into the swing of things in June?
I feel good. I'm excited about it. I think Derek also told me yesterday that it's great that I get excited and jazzed up about these things, because if I didn't, then it would be very overwhelming because there is a lot happening. But I'm fired up. I think it's a really exciting time for everybody.
And if you want, like I said, if you want to stay up to date with all of it too, head to hailvarsity.com. Just go ahead and bookmark the recruiting notebook, but also check out the Straight Up Breakdown podcast, the Varsity Club podcast. If you want some things on like local recruiting, whether it's basketball and some football, Jacob Padilla has the Nebraska Preps postgame show with Damon Benning. We have so much at hailvarsity.com. So go ahead and just check it out. You can follow Greg at Greg Smith HV or Hail Varsity and send those questions along. Like I said, thank you to Craig for sending this question. He asked it a couple of weeks ago on YouTube, and we were able to finally answer. So Craig, thank you. And he had pieces of this question that we didn't even get to this week. So stay tuned, because there may be more coming. We just appreciate the conversation wherever you leave your comments. So thank you as always. We'll be back in a week to hopefully have even more on recruiting. Greg, thank you.
Thank you.